Welcome everyone to our teaching online sessions. It is Thursday, the 26th of March. Theo Stiegler here for Nexus for Change and BGSU. Steve Cady, who usually convenes our sessions, is in a department meeting on WebEx. So he is potentially learning more about that platform as we share here on Zoom. The idea today is to really sort of give all of us that are here, there seem to be about 20 plus of us, an opportunity to sort of just share stories and best practices with one another. What have you found works really well for you? What are you still struggling with? If I could get a quick show of hands, just sort of general for one another, how many of you think of yourselves as beginners with the Canvases and the Zooms and the WebExes? Okay, so I'm gonna do my darndest to not put all of you in the same room, but have a little bit of spread where you maybe are with some folks that have more experience playing with this. Certainly ask me to join a session once we go to the breakout rooms. As a user, you have an option to ask the host to help you out, ask for support. I'm gonna put my screen up real quick and show where that button is, if I can manage to do that. That looks like my bandwidth is slow. So maybe I'm not gonna bother with that. Unsurprisingly, there's a lot of traffic on Zoom, so it took forever for my screen to even come up into the share screen. The idea is that we would go into breakout rooms of about 5 or 6 of us and have an opportunity for about half an hour just to share what were your success stories in using technology, what has worked really well for you, what was maybe surprising or encouraging, what are some of the challenges that you're still dealing with, and maybe identify whether you think of yourself as I still feel like I'm a bloody beginner, or I have a little bit of experience, or I'm doing fairly well with this, to sort of allow a conversation to be meaningful amongst one another. Once you're in, so you'll have a little screen pop up that says the host has invited you to join a breakout room. It'll have a number. Please click on that and go to that breakout room for that conversation. In that breakout room setting, you will be able to ask the host for help, and I can join you and maybe offer some support if I know anything about what you might be struggling with. And I can also send you messages, so you might at the top of your screen have a little pop-up, hey, 10 more minutes, something along those lines, or hey, I just heard this really cool thing I wanted to make sure with everybody. Go ahead and share the chat if you have any specific things that you want to highlight, that you want to remember. We will record the chat or keep a record of it and share it with you. I want to make sure that all of you have the link to the teaching online document. It's a Google Doc that we've been sharing in these sessions that you all should have access to via Google Docs. The link is in the chat box. So all of you, if this is your first time here, make sure that you use that chat. It's an icon next to your microphone, your camera. There's a share screen option. It also is like a speech bubble that says chat. Click on that, and then you should be able to just click on the link for that Google document. I just added, thank you, Carol, who's here, shared a resource that she found that somebody at Stanford put together for online learning that is linked now here in our document as well, I think under item 10 or 11 in the resource capture that we have there ongoing. So are there any burning questions before we go into the breakout room that you must ask of all of us? Please go ahead and ask those now. Yes, Tom, go ahead. You're muted. Are you able to unmute, or should I unmute you? Try to hit the space bar. That's
okay, how's that?
Perfect. Hi, Tom.
I have a question about a Zoom conference I had with my class on Monday. I was recording it, and then I ended the recording, and I can't seem to find it, or and I haven't found anything in the Google Docs. Maybe I haven't gone through everything thoroughly, but where would I find the recording?
Did you record on your computer, or did you record to the cloud?
I think I did it on the computer.
Okay, if you did it on the computer, are you on a Mac or a Windows machine?
On a Mac. Okay,
you would go to your file search, and you would put Zoom into the search bar.
Yeah.
And folder will pop up. If you click on it, it'll have like a date stamped recording. Depending on what you named that session, it should be there.
Okay, I don't know if I did name the session. What about if it's in the cloud?
If it's in the cloud, you need to go into your Zoom profile. Let me share my screen and see how that, there we go. So if you're looking for a recording on the Zoom cloud, and
Yeah.
those have been slow recently. I had last week, I recorded something on Tuesday. Typically I have it in an hour. It took till Friday afternoon to show up. But this is,
Oh, it took that long to show up.
What's that?
You say it took that long to show up?
Yes.
Oh, well, maybe that's the problem.
But it was showing in process. So I'll show you guys real quick. So if you go to my account, this is my account in Zoom. If I go to recordings right here, it'll list all of my current recordings for me. And right here, where it now says 2 files, it was showing for about a week, still processing. But you should be able to see it here if you did record to the cloud.
No, I don't. I'm not seeing that when I went to my recordings.
Actually, Tom,
Yeah.
if you did record it onto your own computer,
Yeah.
Go up on a Mac. Go up to the upper left hand corner and click on Zoom and go down to preferences.
Yeah.
And then go to recordings, and it'll tell you where it stores it on your local computer.
Okay, let me write that down. Preferences, and then recordings. Okay, so is there any way that I might have not really recorded it, even though I pressed the record button and then stopped the recording? Was I supposed to save that at all?
No, it should be there.
Okay. All right, thank you. I'll check that out.
If you want, Tom, when I send everyone to breakout rooms, if you want to hang out here for a minute and share your screen, we'll find it together.
Okay.
So Teo, I want to interject a little bit of context here. Steve said that this meeting is geared based on the conversation last week to Canvas. It looks like all the questions are coming about Zoom. So it's fine to have Zoom conversations, but the purpose of this meeting was to help people who are getting onto Canvas, either early on wanting to do online or want to go deeper into Canvas because BGSU is not supporting Zoom interaction with Canvas, and there are people on the call who are experts who will be planted in your rooms. So I just want to give you that as a guideline.
But with that said, if you have a need in your room to speak on something specific that has nothing to do with either Zoom or WebEx, and you identify that you want to, or Canvas, that you can help one another with, please take the freedom of this format to do so. So I'm going to send you off.
Do you want to set up the rooms with those different topics?
I'm sorry?
Do you want to set up the rooms with different topics, and we can put in chat if we want to be in a Zoom discussion or if we want to be in a WebEx discussion?
I would rather just allow this to just evolve organically and see who is together. I might, like, if Patrick and Paul end up in the same room, I know that they are 2 of our experts. That doesn't make a lot of sense, so I will send them to separate rooms. And maybe I know that Julie has some experience, that Becky, you have some experience. So if there's 4 of you that are all, but even that might be meaningful for some of you to exchange at that level. So feel free to alert me of that. Come back to the main room, put it in the chat. I'll monitor that, and we'll do our best here to have meaningful conversations for all of you. Tom, if you want to hang out with me for a second before you go to the breakout room, we'll find that recording.
Okay, I did have another question about WebEx too. Maybe I could just ask you when we chat.
Sounds good. Okay. All right, there are a little bit over 20 of us here, so we're going to be 4 to 5 participants in 5 rooms, and you should be seeing that pop up for you right now, and we'll see you in about 25 minutes. You got to unmute, Tom.
Sorry. There we go. I'm back again.
you clicked the breakout room real quick, huh?
I had to click. I was placed in the breakout room automatically. I had to get back to the main screen. Yeah. So here's another question I have. When I tried to get onto WebEx from Canvas,
Yeah,
I wasn't able.
You're a faculty at BGSU?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yeah, in the School of Art. So when I went from tried to get onto WebEx from Canvas, I couldn't do that. It wasn't allowing me, and so I downloaded the Cisco WebEx app. And if I use the app, I can get onto it, but I can't do it from Canvas. Is that normal?
That is new to me, but I have to be honest with you that I'm not a Canvas WebEx expert. That's not my expertise. So it's probably something we should, when everybody comes back, ask either Patrick or Paul to comment on and ask that question again.
Okay.
And be able to screen share. I know that in WebEx, in the panel on the left, if you go down to the conferencing options, you should be able to get to WebEx there. But I don't know if there's an additional, a different plugin that you should install. I'm just not sure. But I know that Patrick or Paul will have the answer.
Okay.
So did you want to share your screen and see if we can track down your recording?
Yeah, let's see. So share desktop is that what I want to do?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, can you see it?
I can see it, yeah. So if you go to Finder, which is the icon on the bottom left that I see.
Bottom left, oh, right here, yeah.
Right there, that guy. And now in the search bar on the top right, you see on the top right of that window, it says search, type Zoom.
Yep. I'm sorry, Zoom?
Zoom,
Okay.
And scroll down for me a little bit. Okay, do me a favor and click on name actually click on kind. If you click on the word kind, it should sort those for us by,
let's see.
To the left.
Oh, right here, okay. Okay.
And then scroll up to the top and we should see folders. Yep, there it is. Okay, click on that Zoom folder.
The top one?
The top one, yep.
Okay.
And that should be your recording, March 23rd.
Wow, now, let's see, right here.
There is the video file, the MP4. So first thing I would suggest is going in and renaming this file rather than it saying meeting. So if you hover and click on that or right click on it, I don't know what your mouse set up, and call it something that you'll recognize for that session. And maybe put the date back in or something. There you go.
Okay, yeah, that'll work.
And now if you click that, you have an audio file, a video file, probably the chat if you guys, yep, the chat.
Okay.
That MP4 on the bottom, Zoom 0, sometimes if you have a lot of these, I start naming those so that I don't have like 100 video files that all just are called Zoom 0 or Zoom 1.
Yeah.
But that's your recording right there.
Okay, so this is on my computer then.
Yes, sir. And that's wise currently because you will have, at least I had last week, issues with the cloud recording just taking forever long to process.
Okay.
Now I wanna warn you, this is not a huge file, 322 megabytes, but sometimes when you upload to Canvas, if that's how you're intending on sharing it, I don't know.
I'll probably use Google Doc.
One thing that's really super easy, if you have a YouTube account.
I do.
Upload it to YouTube as a so-called unlisted video.
Okay.
The resources and videos and background is in that document, that tiny URL, Teaching Online Transition.
Yeah.
That means that only somebody that you share that specific link to that video with can view it. It doesn't pop up in a Zoom search for, BGSU classes, advanced grad. It won't show up there unless I have the link.
Okay, I could also share it on Vimeo. I have an account there too.
And both work. Our experience currently has been that because YouTube is owned by Google, they don't have the bandwidth issues that just about everybody else seems to be experiencing. But I don't know that Vimeo would be any slower, just that YouTube has been pretty stellar just because Google always seems to have another couple extra servers somewhere.
Okay. Oh, I have another question. Can I edit this video?
Can you edit which video?
The Zoom video that we just renamed?
Oh, yes, in many different ways. There are some links, again, in that document that you could track down. One of the reasons that I like YouTube is if it's simply cut and pasting stuff out, like, hey, there was a long pause because everybody was thinking, that's awkward, I'll take those 10 seconds out, or here was a conversation that was maybe private, whatever, I don't want to share that. You can cut that out in the YouTube editor fairly quickly.
Oh, in YouTube. Okay, because I've used iMovie. I'm okay at iMovie, and since it's an MP4, I can do it there. I didn't know if Zoom had a capability to do that.
Zoom does not have any sort of native built-in video editing. They're concentrating on the sharing and providing you the recording, and then it's sort of up to you what you do with it. You can absolutely edit it in iMovie. Yes, I've done that quite a bit.
Okay, well, that's great. Thanks for your help.
Not a problem. So if you click back on Breakout Rooms on the bottom, you should be able to rejoin that room.
Okay, let's see. Now I've got a very small screen. I want to go to a larger screen. And
well, stop your screen share. That'll help you. It says stop share.
How do I do? I don't see a stop. Oh, here it is. Okay, I see it. But now I've lost my cursor. Every time I put the cursor,
you're still sharing your screen right now.
I know, but every time I put the cursor over it to stop share, it disappears.
Oh, okay. I'll stop it for you.
How do I do that? What's
That's hard for me to say from afar because that's not something I can see on my screen. If you
the escape bar on my computer is not working, and so whenever I put the cursor up there to click stop share, it just disappears. Oh, wait. Now I see what I did. Okay, there we go.
Okay.
All right, now, okay, I figured it out.
You should be able to click on Breakout Rooms in your Zoom panel, and it should give you an option to rejoin.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Not a problem. Rosalind, can you hear me?
Hi, yes, I can. I'm sorry I'm late to the meeting. How are you?
I'm going to have to give you my scolding face.
I'm late, so I said I'm not even going to share video.
Oh, okay. No, I think you're fine. So I'll give you a quick bit of background, and then I would encourage you, and I'm going to send you into one of the breakout rooms. So what we're talking about is really a sharing session in smaller groups. What do you need help with? What's your experience level? The focus was going to be, because it seemed that we had a majority of BGSU faculty show up, so they were interested in working on Canvas, but we have plenty of people that aren't BGSU faculty that were talking more about like breakout room specific stuff, or just some learning or insights that they've had with WebEx or any of the other tools. So if it's all right with you, I'm just going to send you into one of those groups, say hello, and either what a cool story that you had experience with this new environment, or something that you had questions about. And then in about another 15, 18 minutes or so, we'll come back and just share in the large group and answer questions.
Okay, cool.
Awesome. So I am sending you to room 5. And you should have a little thing pop up that says join breakout room. Are you able to see that that pop up? Okay. Were you guys getting bored? You're coming back to the main session early?
We weren't able to answer the question that Tom had.
Okay.
We also, I don't know if you have any experience, can you set chat to anonymous? We were thinking some students may not be chatting because they don't want everybody to know that they don't understand. And if they could chat anonymously, they might be more willing to chat, but I can't find it anywhere. I've been
So I
Googled.
don't think you can set the chat to anonymous, but you can rename yourself. So like you could,
Oh, that's true.
you could go and put, no, it doesn't make much sense if there's 5 of you and you know who's there and one of you has theirs set to their phone number or something or some nondescript. So it'd have to be a larger session and somebody could probably figure it out if they really wanted to. I don't know. I don't believe there is a setting to make the chat anonymous, but you could.
I guess you could use polls. Polls would be anonymous and you could just have a poll that says, I understand what you just said, or I don't understand what you just said, and find out what percentage of the class.
On that, if you have the new Zoom client installed, you should have the reactions button available now, and you can, thumbs up and things like that. Also, if people click on the participants, in that participants panel, you have options to like raise your hand, say yes or no. Those kinds of things might be meaningful tools of engagement. So the question was for all of us that just came back, the question was, how do I encourage students that may not be willing to chat because they think they're embarrassed if they ask that question, now everybody can see their name next to that stupid question that so-and-so asked. To maybe leverage polls or to use the reactions options and tell people, okay, go to your panel and this is my question, put your hand up if you got it, or if you have a question, or say yes or no. Those are some of the options that are available in the participant panel, and then also from the new reactions that you should have access to if you have the newer Zoom client installed on a laptop or desktop device. So how was it? Does anybody want to share some insights, some joy, some that was unexpected or interesting or important new learning that we should all be aware of? Go ahead and unmute yourself, or I can unmute you and do share. I know there's a couple of questions that are floating around. We'll get to those in a second.
Our group talked about a couple of issues, one being etiquette within the sessions, and then also encouraging other folks to participate with WebEx. One of the professors had put out WebEx timeframes and nobody responded. And we were talking about how to encourage them and maybe set out some information on what the value of WebEx is and how they can benefit by talking and using WebEx with the instructor and have questions and kind of the value behind it. And hopefully they'll realize that it is a benefit and they really should utilize the technology, along with encouraging them to become aware of some of these technologies if they're unfamiliar. Certainly that they're not only able to navigate through new technologies, but there are going to be ongoing changes and new technologies available. But I think it's important to just be knowledgeable in some respects. If they start a new job or a part-time position, well, maybe that organization utilizes those technologies and they want to kind of be up to speed on it. So those are some of the things, but I think the etiquette about, we had a session yesterday with BGSU where one of the participants had his phone and he was walking to Walmart, and you could see, some of the price cuts and some other, and to me, I just wouldn't do that. If I can't be sitting and I have to use my phone or I'm in the car, I'm not going to put my video on. And sometimes common sense just doesn't apply in some individuals. And I think we talked about setting some guidelines prior to, hoping to roll those out so people are aware and realize that, well, maybe I would have done that, but I didn't realize that it wasn't so bad. But I think if they could see it or look back on if their manager or supervisor they report to had seen how they operated or were part of a Zoom session, they might think twice next time about, I wouldn't do that because it wouldn't go over very well with a manager or a boss that I report to. So that's all I have.
Yeah, quick
Good
reaction.
point.
I think in my experience, there are three things. One is if you tell people we're going to be recording this, that tends to help a little bit in, okay, maybe I should put a shirt on. Another one is that I think has been important that folks have shared here, to offer sessions without an agenda, to say, hey, I'm learning this too. I'm new to this whole online thing. Let's just meet on WebEx. I have a half hour here and an hour here, and let's just talk and see how we're doing and test it out to sort of lower the bar for people to come in. And then the third piece that when I was a student of Dr. Katie's was always big, hey, the reason is not that I'm trying to make you do something. I'm trying to have you have an opportunity to learn a new skill that you can put on your resume that is going to be meaningful in the future for your employment opportunities, to say, yes, I have experience on WebEx and Zoom and so forth. So it's in your best interest to learn these tools rather than, oh, I have to do this session with this professor.
Definitely, another good point. If I could just say in our group, one of the biggest issues I think someone brought up was about access. And that's going to be challenging, not just for us as faculty, but certainly for many of our students. One thing I mentioned is that in all of our online programs, when students apply to and are admitted into those, they know ahead of time it's an online program. They pretty much realize they have to have reliable broadband, Wi-Fi, technology, everything like that on the go. But now we're, due to the reality on the ground, we're forced into a situation where that may not be the case. And we've got students that might be at home with their parents who, have a broadband plan that is really not conducive to this, but it might be the only one that's available due to them being in a geographically remote area or something. So in many cases, even if we want to do something really cool and dynamic and amazing, there might be access issues that might preclude a lot of our students from being involved in that. So just something to think about.
Thank you, Paul. Yes.
Something that came up in my group that I just want to touch on real quick is that I think I have worked with several faculty who are on the same, or that are on the same page here, that they originally went into this week preparing to do a lot of synchronous lectures through a tool like WebEx or Canvas, but they're finding more and more that their students, for the reasons you guys have talked about or other reasons in their home life, are not able to attend a synchronous lecture in any way, shape, or form. And so now they're sort of stopping, trying to change gears and figure out how they can prepare their content asynchronously. The takeaway I wanted to share from my group was, you're not alone, that this is a common thread that many faculty are bringing up. And if you have questions, you have resources, I think this is a great group to turn to. You also have the CFE and ITS and that you can reach out to, and we can assist as well if you have questions or to seek help.
Yeah, I think what Patrick brings up is a really important point in terms of a lot of our students are not able to commit to the same level of, yes, I have an 11 o'clock session that I need to be at. And I think that's important to track off. I had sort of the opposite conversation just yesterday with somebody who was had everything prepared as just video lectures and was sending out those videos for people to watch, but it was just him, basically presenting for 20-minute, 35-minute chunks. And he actually said, I think I'm going to shift gears and just whoever shows up, I'll record those sessions. If it's a class of 30 and there's just 5, but there might be value in those interactions with those 5, I can still record those videos and send them out, and the other 25 have the benefit of 5 people asking clarifying questions. So there might, I would offer that there's probably an in-between where just take who you can have synchronously and then share it in terms of the recordings for those folks that weren't able to attend to benefit from those that were there. And we're doing the same here. These sessions are recorded. We'll share those. You can go back as you're able to look at previous sessions and hopefully benefit from that. Steve, I love the picture that just popped up behind you. Folks are trying out the virtual background. It's awesome. And it's changing. So I get a whole experience of, wait a minute, that's not what it looked like a second ago. Any other learnings or some key questions? I know Tom had a question that maybe Patrick or, excuse me, or Paul could answer. Were there some other key learnings questions that we wanted to? We have about 10 minutes left.
I'd like to jump in and just remark what I'm also finding very cumbersome is and I want to be able to coach my students properly. I'm attending so many live meetings right now, and those recordings are going into buckets, and I'm finding it difficult to catch up on the recordings that of other meetings that I feel like I should have been in attendance to. So I'm just kind of coasting and not always being able to follow all the breadcrumbs. Any advice is appreciated.
May I actually relate to Allison's comment? It looks like we are all at different levels of experience, and that is a main challenge in a group like this. We are today like 20, last time we were probably about 50 and so on. And just reflecting on the experience I had with the breakout group, we were 3. Steve happened to be definitely ahead of all of us. Steve, you can smile if you want, it's all right. And I happen to be, I know Canvas. I don't know everything about it. And obviously, Julie is sort of would like to know about Canvas, still is at the beginning. Then Carol obviously has a different role beside being different from being just a faculty. So even the 4 of us were in different words, though I still learned that. The thing which I want to talk about is what we really ended up saying last time when we were together. And Paul, I guess, even commented, Paul Cesarini commented a little bit, Steve Caddy commented on it. I think from my perspective, and I echoed this with the breakout group, is that especially for those of us who are beginners, maybe a bit more than beginners, between beginning and the middle, is that we look into how to do things. We all have things to give our students, let's say an assignment or exercise or whatever you want to do. Maybe we need a scenario, and that's what Steve Caddy promised for next time, a scenario of a course, a scenario of chunk of the course, and how we're going to go through giving an assignment. And this assignment has 1, 2, 3 aspects to it, and what things we link here and there in order to get it going. It is sort of, I'm talking about an integrated approach for what we're doing, rather than, I am not attacking that at all, rather than just concentrating on the tools themselves. We concentrate on the problem and how to do it, how the tool will be pulled in at the certain time, in the right time, in order to help and support. Steve promised that he next time will probably bring one of his classes and show us something of this nature. This is the only thing I can think about this to help me myself more.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yes, that certainly would be meaningful to go through the actual steps of setting up a module like that on Canvas. Allison, to react to your question, what I've done, I'm in the same boat. I have a bucket full of recordings that I think I should listen to. I will sometimes put them in a playlist and play them from my phone just in the background while I'm doing something else, and hope that the key nuggets maybe will stick, and maybe some do and maybe some don't. But I don't have the bandwidth to sit aside an extra hour for focused listening. I don't know. Does anybody else have a hot tip on how you get some of that content that maybe you didn't have time to address or access into your?
I'm going to tell you right now. I last week was putting in more hours than I probably should have to just try to keep up with everything. And my big takeaway is I talked to my supervisor and I talked to my CIO, and I basically said, look, I need to practice self-care, and it's understand that I am a person who has needs of personal time myself, and there are certain things I'm not going to get to. And so you're right that this particular time has more, there's an infinite amount of work, I think, for many of us to do. And I think you just have to understand that you're going to get to some of it and you're not going to get to others, and that we all have to be patient and understanding with each other in these times.
This is Julie. One thing that I can think of is if there's a way when those recordings come in, I think even in Zoom, when I see Zoom chats and everything, I mean, Zoom chat, it'll give you the date I always name it something else. I name it whatever it was, because Zoom chat on such and such a date's like, who's ever going to go back to that? So maybe you can do that with recordings and even have a folder. Okay, if they're the faculty meeting, or if they're, you know, your kid's school or whatever it is, just create, you know, the playlist is one thing to play it back, but another thing is just organize it. Give it, you know, put it in the folder, give it a name and whatever the date was, because otherwise, I mean, I don't know how you find it again. One thing that I wanted to piggyback on Salim's point, Theo, just for everybody, is I think we were looking at what was like a lot of text in some classes, but then for the faculty like Salim in architecture, where there, or maybe the arts or something, where you have to do more with pictures, photos, you know, of buildings, or the how-to, actually physically designing something. There may be some other kinds of challenges there that are different, you know, online environment, in terms of problem solving and whatever. So
there's lots of that, and so I encourage you. My challenge has been around music, and you can't sing together, make music together on Zoom. So you got to find other avenues of pre-recording and sharing and things like that. There are a lot of good resources. If you go to YouTube and you put into the search bar the best description that you can think of your challenge, most times than not, something will pop up. Especially if you use the quotation marks around, you know, recording music on Zoom, and in quotation marks, you put that in YouTube, somebody will have a tutorial, and there's lots of new ones coming out. I encourage you to try to track stuff down that way. There's good resources already out there. Carol, you were wanting to share something.
Yes, in the chat, somebody asked the question about how do you put thumbs down? The hand up is raise your hand. It's not up and down. So I don't know if you want to answer that, Teo, or just assume that you can't do it. You could do a poll.
Carol, I was looking at the reactions, because Theo had mentioned the reactions, and there's not a negative one. They're all the positive ones. So that's why I asked that about the how do you get students to tell you.
If you go into participants and you go to more, you have raise hand, yes, no, go slower, go faster, and then the more button, and there is a thumbs down.
Mm-hmm. But then that's not anonymous. I think we were talking about anonymous too. But anyway.
I'm doing a session at 1 o'clock. We'll talk about polls, and polls are one of the things, like if you need an anonymous feedback piece of, did you all get this or who didn't? You can use a poll. Those are anonymous, or you can set them to be anonymous. Yeah, you have to set them to be anonymous. And then in that poll, you can ask for yes, no, thumbs up, thumbs down kind of response from students that would be anonymous. Tom, did you get an answer for your WebEx question?
No, my question was about getting onto WebEx from Canvas. I'm having difficulty, won't let me do that. But if I download the app and use that app, I can do it. Is anyone else having a problem with that?
I can chime in here. If you have not installed the app either on your desktop computer or your phone, and you attempt to connect to WebEx through Canvas, you might be asked to enter a passcode, which is unknown error from Cisco. Cisco is working right now on trying to get that fixed. You should have it fixed within the next day or two. I'm just going to be transparent with everybody. This is in the Teaching Online transition document that is shared around. If someone is on a Chromebook right now, there's not a there's a fix, but it's a little more complicated to get working. Hopefully, this is something Cisco has fixed in the next day or two. But if you need assistance on this, I would recommend the first thing you do is download the app. And if you're still having trouble, you can either reach out to ITS, or in the document that's shared, there is a couple of WebEx guides near the bottom. I believe the one in question is 7.1.3 on the document that's been shared around.
Yeah, so I did download the app, and I'm still having problem getting on. I couldn't hear you very well. Did you say Chrome is difficult?
Chromebooks. Like if your device is a Chromebook and not a Dell or a Windows or a Dell or an Apple.
Yeah, I think you're on the Mac, Tom, so that part should not apply to you.
If you want to contact the IT service desk, we can have someone do a remote session with you and just get you up and running. 0999 or 419-372-0999 is their direct phone number.
I know the number. Yep.
Okay.
Guys, thank you so much. Tom, does that help you out?
It does. Thanks a lot.
Excellent. Thank you all for being here. Salim, I hope that we're recording this, and I will chat with Steve Cady. So we'll look at some specific setup sessions in one of the upcoming ones. I can't promise you if it's going to be next Tuesday or Thursday. Thank you all for being here. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Stay healthy, and don't be socially distant. Be socially connected and physically distant.
Thank you.
Thank you.